Hello and welcome to a new episode of EU Decoded, the podcast by the EPP Group in the European Parliament, where we dig into key political issues in Europe and beyond. And we're not even a full month into 2026, and it's already been an eventful one, especially when it comes to geopolitical alliances and international relations. In Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro has been taken into custody by US special forces. And in Iran, protesters are challenging the regime in Tehran as authorities respond with a brutal crackdown. But before we get to that, there's one other place we need to talk about: Greenland. Europe's long-standing ally is now using pressure tactics that many see as diplomatic coercion. Donald Trump has made his position clear. He wants Greenland, and he's willing to blackmail Europe to get it.
Den udfordring, vi står overfor i dag, er, at et flertal af vælgerne i USA har valgt en regering, der ikke er tilfreds med den verdensorden.
The challenge we face today, says Danish MEP Henrik Dahl, is this. A majority of US voters have elected a government that is no longer satisfied with the world order that emerged after World War II. Americans have a right to make that choice, Dahl says, but Europe, he argues, also has the right to reject a legal order it does not want imposed on its own continent. Donald Trump argues that Greenland must be taken over urgently because of what he describes as growing threats from China and Russia. He has also criticised Denmark's handling of the island's security, at one point pointing to the addition of just a single dog sled. While Danish MEP Niels Flemming Hansen strongly disagrees.
We have heard claims suggesting that Russia and China are everywhere in the Arctic in Greenland. Let me be clear. Lying and exaggerating does not make good security policy. Facts matters. And facts are that in 2025 alone, we have decided to invest $13 billion on defense. That buys a hell of a lot more than a dog sled.
Donald Trump has repeatedly said he wants to use Greenland for military purposes. But, as MEP Hansen pointed out in last week's podcast episode, he can already send as many troops there as he wants.
He just needs to call Nuuk and Copenhagen, and then he can do so. It's in the treaty. But most of the American voters don't know that, and maybe he soon needs a victory on his home base.
And in a different geopolitical hotspot, respect was paid to the many brave Iranians who have taken to the streets at enormous personal risk. The nationwide protests against the Tehran regime have been met with a vicious crackdown, another sign of the regime's autocratic and illegitimate rule.
Condenar sin matices la represión del régimen. Exigir la liberación inmediata de los presos políticos.
MEP Antonio Lopez Isturiz White says Europe's message must be clear. Condemn the regime's repression without ambiguity. Demand the immediate release of political prisoners. Designate the Iranian Revolutionary Guards as a terrorist organisation. Increase sanctions on those responsible. And support Iran's democratic opposition.
Die Menschenrechtslage im Iran ist seit Jahren katastrophal. Die Zahl der Hinrichtungen gehört zu den höchsten weltweit.
As stated by MEP David McAllister, the EPP Group condemns the systematic targeting of human rights activists, minorities and women, and deplores the appallingly high number of executions as a symbol of the regime's utter disregard for human life and dignity.
The European Union must act now with strong targeted sanctions against the regime responsible for killings and ongoing repression, with a clear message that such violence will not go without consequences. We stand with the people of Iran and with all those who risk everything for a better tomorrow.
MEP Lucas Folas making it clear there that the people of Iran deserve full support in their democratic aspirations. And these same democratic aspirations are shared by the people of Venezuela. After years of dictatorship and repression, Venezuela now needs a peaceful democratic transition.
Recordemos que Nicolás Maduro usurpó el poder en 2024, ignorando la voluntad de la inmensa mayoría.
As MEP Gabriel Mato reminded, the EPP Group did not recognise Nicolás Maduro as a legitimate, democratically elected president. Instead, the group recognises Edmundo González and Maria Corina Machado as the legitimate representatives of the Venezuelan people and as the winners of Venezuela's presidential election.
Podemos discordar de como Nicolás Maduro foi removido do solo venezuelano, mas não negamos facto.
We may disagree on how Nicolás Maduro was removed from Venezuelan soil, but we can't deny that Venezuela is better off without him, says MEP Sebastián Bugallo, as he calls for support for a change of course in the country. Venezuela is not just oil or gold, he says. It is a country that has waited too long for freedom and should not have to wait any longer. And the EPP Group is standing firmly behind its position. The future of Venezuela can only rest in the hands of its people, and that the winners of the elections should lead the country's democratic transition. Although this week's parliamentary agenda was packed with foreign policy and international issues, there was another vital debate that stood out. Recently, X's AI chatbot, Grok, allowed users to easily create AI-generated sexual images of women without their consent. The women depicted were digitally stripped naked and sexualized. There have even been reports of similar abuse involving images of children. MEP Jeroen Lenaers puts it bluntly.
Apps that undress or sexualize images are not innovation, they're exploitation. Abuse overwhelmingly directed against women and children, and they should never be legal.
Well, after a public outcry, X removed the feature that stripped people naked, but that move doesn't come close to addressing the real problem.
It's a small but inadequate step for platforms like Grok to restrict sexualized images of real people while still allowing fabricated abuse. AI-generated abuse is never harmless. It normalizes violence and increases real-world risks.
Over the past year, the amount of AI-generated child sexual abuse material found online has skyrocketed. MEP Javier Zazalejos revealed the shocking scale of this form of abuse targeting children.
In 2025, the International Internet Watch Foundation identified 3,440 AI videos of child sexual abuse, compared to only 13 in 2024. Non-consensual sexualized content, whether real or AI-generated, is exploitation and an act of violence that has to be confronted and fought.
And before we sign off this episode, one filled with complex challenges that reflect today's reality, allow us to leave you with a note of optimism. Portugal and Spain are celebrating the 40th anniversaries of their membership of the European Union. And to mark this occasion, their heads of state, President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa and King Felipe VI, addressed the European Parliament. Apart from speaking on the benefits of their membership of the EU and all the changes that happened in their countries in the past 40 years, they also reflected on the current global challenges. Here is President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa.
É hoje moda do momento esquecer, minimizar.
It is currently fashionable to forget, minimize and diminish Europe and its role in the world. Let us not waste a second hesitating, doubting or flagellating ourselves. We have more freedom, democracy and the rule of law than so many others. But we know that all this is not enough and that we sometimes waste time and need to do more and do better. Let us count first and foremost on ourselves, who must believe in a free, equal and democratic Europe.
Temos de acreditar na Europa livre, igualitária e democrática.
And as King Felipe VI put it,
Que nadie subestime la capacidad de los europeos de responder a sus desafíos.
Let no one underestimate the ability of Europeans to respond to their challenges. Well, thank you for joining us once again. Until next time, goodbye.